Hello there, my English 111 folk, and welcome to week 3. I hope everybody is doing well amid the fact that we had this kind of ice storm that was not an ice storm, and so it's power outages somewhere, but not others. Roads seem fine someplace, not others. So I don't know how your situation is looking, but it looks pretty okay where I am in Candler. So I hope everybody is warm and safe. And so here is an introduction to week 3 and your morning message. All right, so what we're going to go over today is some of the expectations for your first draft of your personal essay or your literacy narrative. So we'll be talking about that. There is a piece called All Over Shoutin' by Rick Bragg on page 236 of your Norton text. I've gotten an email that somebody has had trouble finding it, so I'm gonna go triple check that page number as soon as I get back into my classroom tomorrow. But for right now, I want you to kind of go through here. So Superman and Me is going to be the text that we're going to explore. And so just so that you know, what we're going to be focusing in on is we're going to be focusing in on narratives and personal narratives and how those narratives can kind of like help with the mentor text for you to create your own. So we're going to go ahead and start with the essay 1 instruction so that you can kind of see where we are going with the end in mind. Okay, so your essay 1 is a personal literacy narrative. And so it is you telling your story through how you have absorbed literature and understanding the world and language at large over the course of your life. And so we're going to use these as our mentor text. You of course can use some of the others like Superman and Me, any of the other pieces that we've read as a baseline for what you want to say. But as you are developing your sense of voice, just kind of be thinking about how do the writers blend story and reflection? How does it kind of come from a beginning to a middle to an end? How do we have a through line? How do we have a message? How does literacy shape their view, right? And so as you are starting to think about what you're going to write, when you read this week, there's some things that you can kind of think about. It's like what shape the way that you see the world. How is your experience of being an insider or an outsider different in different communities? How is language? What is the language and the role language plays in your life? So we're going to have our first draft due next week. So the requirements will be, it'll be between 350 and 500 words. So it's not a very long piece, but it is going to be kind of tight and reflective. So I'm going to expect that you engage the senses and use vivid details and specifics, that you include a quote from mentor text as a guideline and a through line. And I have an example of that to help you. And that you have a very clear structure. I say 6 sentence. It doesn't have to be exactly 6 sentences, but it should be lengthy enough for us to be hooked in and drawn into your message. And it should be in MLA formatting. So follow the Norton on page 605 if you need additional format guidelines on that. And so I'm going to be grading you on your personal voice and insight. I am going to be grading you on storytelling and reflection. I'm going to be grading you on the use of your mentor texts, and then the organization and structure of how you put your message together. And that'll be how I grade you on that. So be using that as your primary focus for as you are navigating through this week's work. So popping right back over to our Moodle page. Okay, so some resources for your essay here. I've got an essay planning workshop. That's a link here. And then also if you open the personal narrative outlining tool, this is something that I made for you all to help guide as you are working on developing your own draft, that you are welcome to use as a way to help you craft your ideas into more of an outline form. So, all right. So enough of that. Okay, so now as we are moving back right along to our weekly work. Okay, all right. So as we've been kind of developing our voices on literacy narratives and what personal narratives are telling us, this annotation exercise, which you'll do about every week with these harmonize. And thank you for those people who've been jumping on it. Just remember that if it's an annotation exercise, the magic number is always three. So you should have at least three annotations, a post, two replies, a post, whatever, or two three replies, you could have three posts, whatever. Just make sure that you are actively engaging. And what I've seen so far has been really, really top notch quality. So great work there. So right here on our work for this week for the analytical active protocol of annotating for SA1, it's going to ask you to annotate two pieces, and one of them is Superman and Me. And then thank you for Daniela. She's already on here. And then the other one is the theme for English B. Okay. And so those are two pieces that are all about like personal identity with writing. And so enjoy that, interact, have a nice conversation. The whole point of Harmonize is that you get a chance to have a conversation without being in person. And so feel free to annotate, discuss, and really dig into the text together. All right. And so I want to make sure that I've had a chance to touch base with everything. Oh, last but not least, we have a written discussion here on Superman and Me and bridging between Superman and Me and what you'll be doing with your personal literacy narrative. So those are your only to dos for this week, other than brainstorming your own personal literacy narrative. Um, I am just an email away. If you've got a question, when I get back into my classroom, I will check that page number for Rick Bragg. And other than that, stay warm, stay safe, and happy Monday, y'all.